The common house mosquito, also known as the northern house mosquito, lat. Culex pipiens, is perhaps the most recognizable and annoying representative of the mosquito family, Culicidae. It can rightly be called a cosmopolitan. This species is distributed worldwide, perfectly adapting to a wide variety of conditions, from tropical forests to the basements of urban high-rise buildings. The size of this mosquito is small, from 3 to 7 millimeters, but its significance for humans and ecosystems is enormous. Scientists call Culex pipiens a polytypic species, or species complex. This means it includes several forms or biotypes that are almost indistinguishable externally but behave differently, like twins with different personalities. This mosquito is the main subject of numerous scientific studies and an object of close attention for epidemiologists worldwide. As with all mosquitoes, the diets of the male and female common mosquito differ radically. The male is a committed vegetarian. His entire short life, he feeds exclusively on flower nectar and plant juices, buzzing peacefully somewhere near a flower bed. Females, although they sustain themselves with the same juices, cannot do without the blood of mammals. The protein contained in blood is critically necessary for them to mature their eggs. Therefore, the female mosquito is not just an annoying bloodsucker, but a caring mother, seeking building material for her future offspring. Humanity has been familiar with mosquitoes since time immemorial, but the common house mosquito acquired its scientific pedigree only in the 18th century. In 1758, the great systematizer Carl Linnaeus first described this species, giving it the name Culex pipiens. However, the story didn't end there. 17 years later, in 1775, naturalist Peter Forskel, working in Egypt, described the same species but named it Culex molestus, the troublesome, annoying mosquito. Both descriptions concerned insects that were externally almost indistinguishable. It is precisely this need to feed on blood that makes the common house mosquito a dangerous carrier of a number of diseases. Its thin squeak and painful bite can lead to human infection with Japanese encephalitis, meningitis, and some other viral infections. Furthermore, this mosquito plays a key role in the spread of avian malaria among birds, acting as a kind of flying syringe, transmitting pathogens from one bird to another. Scientists long puzzled over how to distinguish these twins. The solution was found practically through behavior. It turned out that some mosquitoes actively attack people, while others prefer to stay away from humans. In 1890, Italian entomologist Eugenio Facalbi proposed dividing them into two groups: hematophagous, bloodsuckers, that bite humans, and phytophagous, ones feeding exclusively on nectar. Later, the term anthropophilic, meaning loving humans, became established for this trait. Particularly many biting mosquitoes, the so-called molestus form, were found in Egyptian cities, Alexandria, Rosetta, and Cairo. Probably, it was the proximity to humans and the abundance of artificial water bodies, cisterns, canals, that contributed to the flourishing of this synanthropic form. The mosquito belongs to the order Diptera, and this name is no coincidence. It indeed has one pair of wings, the forewings, developed and operating at full capacity. The second pair, the hindwings, is reduced, transformed into tiny club-shaped organs, halteres. During flight, these halteres vibrate synchronously with the wings, helping the insect maintain balance and perform complex maneuvers. The wingbeat frequency of the common house mosquito reaches an impressive 1,000 times per second. It is this furious vibration that creates that very piercing, irritating squeak that keeps us awake on summer nights. Interestingly, the pitch of the squeak can vary. Females who need blood squeak slightly differently, attracting males. Males, in turn, tune into the female frequency using their fluffy antennae. The life of the common house mosquito is an amazing story of transformations, a true metamorphosis in which the same creature successively becomes an aquatic inhabitant, a pupa in a case, and finally, a winged bloodsucker. Each stage of this cycle is a separate chapter, with its own anatomy, behavior, and habitat. Starting its journey in water, the mosquito ends it in the air, only to give life to the next generation. It all begins with eggs, which the female carefully places on the water's surface or at its edge. Soon, larvae hatch from them. Creatures completely unlike their parents. These are typical aquatic inhabitants that will grow, passing through 4 stages of development, instars, separated by 3 molts. The larva's main tool is a long breathing tube located on the 8th segment of the abdomen. This is simultaneously its periscope and its scuba gear. The end of the tube is equipped with special valves that seal hermetically the moment the larva dives deeper in search of food or to escape danger. On the 9th, final segment, there is a caudal fin made of a tuft of bristles. With its help, the larva swims adeptly, moving with sharp, writhing motions. In Culex pipiens, the siphon is relatively short, with a characteristic comb of 12 to 15 teeth and 4 pairs of hairs. During this time, the larva diligently feeds on microorganisms and organic debris, filtering the water to accumulate strength for the main transformation. Having reached its maximum size, the larva molts for the 4th time, but what emerges is not a mosquito at all, but a pupa. This creature looks even more bizarre than the larva. The large, transparent cephalothorax is like a display window, behind the glass of which the outlines of the future adult mosquito can already be discerned. Eyes, legs, wings, folded as if in packaging. 2 thin breathing tubes, trumpets, extend from the cephalothorax. It is with these that the pupa attaches itself to the surface film of the water, breathing atmospheric air. Unlike the malaria mosquito, in our hero these tubes have the same diameter along their entire length, and there are no spines on the abdomen. The pupa's abdomen consists of 9 segments, ending in a caudal fin shaped like 2 plates. If the pupa is disturbed, it begins to vigorously move its abdomen, tumbling in the water and diving to depth, but then invariably floats back up. It needs air. This stage is short-lived, only a couple of days. Inside the transparent shell, a titanic work is underway, the restructuring of all organs and tissues. Then the moment of truth arrives. The pupa's back splits, and the imago, the adult, fully formed mosquito, emerges into the world. At first, it sits on the empty skin, spreading its wings and allowing them to dry, and then it takes off to continue the eternal cycle of life. The common house mosquito can be called neither a giant nor a dwarf. It is a medium-sized insect, with a typical appearance for bloodsuckers. Its main tool is its thin, bristly proboscis, with which the female pierces the skin of her victim. Short, dark palps, appendages near the proboscis, complete the image, but it is the proboscis that is the key element of this perfect biological syringe. The mosquito's head is covered with brown scales, creating a characteristic dark background. However, upon closer inspection, contrasting details are visible. The lateral parts of the head and the posterior edges of the eyes are often adorned with white scales, like gray hair at the temples. The proboscis is uniformly brown, without ornamentation. The antennae are a crucial sensory organ. In females, they are brown, with an admixture of white scales in the middle and at the tip. In males, the antennae are noticeably longer than the proboscis, slightly longer than the apical segment, and appear much fluffier. These are the famous feathery whiskers that allow them to detect the vibrations of female wings. On the antennal segments of males, dark brown bristles are well developed, and white scales form peculiar rings. The back of the mosquito's head bears a whole collection of bristles, golden, erect, branched ones on top, and broad white ones on the sides. The mesonotum, middle part of the thorax, of the mosquito is clad in reddish-brown scales, but closer to the edges and in front of the scutellum, they become lighter, creating a sun-bleached effect. The sides of the thorax are brown, with small spots of white scales, a kind of camouflage coloring. The abdomen is covered with dark brown scales, but its main feature is the transverse bands of pale yellow scales along the anterior edge of each tergite, dorsal half ring. Sometimes these bands can be wide and conspicuous, and in rare cases, they may be absent altogether. The mosquito's legs are brown, but the underside of the femora has a yellowish-white sheen. The wings of the common house mosquito reach 3.5 to 4 millimeters in length. Along the veins, they are covered with dark brown scales, and the edges bear narrow black bristles. The scutellum, posterior part of the mesonotum, is adorned with narrow golden bristles, while brown ones are hidden in its depressions. The pleura, side parts of the thorax, are covered with small, almost white bristles. The male and female are similar in appearance, but there is one detail noticeable even to the naked eye: the fluffy, feathery antennae of the males. This is not merely decoration. They are highly sensitive acoustic antennas, tuned to the sound of the female's wings. The male's antennae allow them to find mates in the swarming cloud, guided by the characteristic squeak. Females, who need to find a victim, rely on other senses, and their antennae are simpler in structure. The common house mosquito can confidently be called a champion of adaptation to living alongside humans. It is an extremely common species of pest insect, thriving in urbanized and suburbanized landscapes. Basements of apartment buildings, flooded ditches, barrels of rainwater in garden plots. Anywhere there is stagnant water, this mosquito feels at home, diligently replenishing the ranks of blood-sucking winged creatures. However, as is often the case in nature, even the most unpleasant neighbor can be put to good use. The larvae of the common house mosquito, those small worm-like creatures wriggling in the water, have proven to be a valuable resource for humans. In the world of aquaristics, they are known as black mosquito larvae or black bloodworms. This is a highly nutritious food, rich in hemoglobin for many species of tropical fish. Aquarium fish, from tiny tetras to large cichlids, devour them with great pleasure, obtaining the substances necessary for growth and vibrant coloration. In pet stores, black mosquito larvae are sold both frozen and live, making them one of the most sought-after foods. But aquarists are not the only ones who have appreciated mosquito larvae. Anglers, especially enthusiasts of winter ice fishing, consider black mosquito larvae one of the best baits. The small larvae are placed on the hook of a jig and work wonders. A wide variety of fish bite excellently on this appetizing bait: roach, bream, perch, ruff, white bream, and many others. The only exceptions are large predators like pike or pike perch, which prefer to hunt fish, but even they sometimes do not mind feasting on bloodworms if they encounter them in large quantities. Thus, the common house mosquito, which annoys us on summer nights, contributes both to the aquatic ecosystem and to human hobbies, aquaristics and fishing. Its larvae feed fish in nature, serve as bait for fishing rods, and provide a balanced diet for our pets in home aquariums. At the core of the common house mosquito's existence lies an amazing gastronomic strategy that divides its life into two complementary diets. Both males and females of all ages regularly feed on sugars, most often of plant origin, flower nectar, or sweet honeydew. This is fuel for everyday life. Sugars provide energy for flight, maintain vitality, and aid survival. But females have a special mission. To mature their eggs, they need blood. This forms a dual feeding pattern: nectar for themselves, blood for the future generation. Males, meanwhile, remain committed vegetarians throughout their short lives, contenting themselves exclusively with plant juices and nectar. Observations of mosquito feeding preferences have been conducted in different parts of the world. In the vicinity of Moscow, scientists noticed that common house mosquitoes readily visit the flowers of burdock, yarrow, and especially tansy. Sometimes up to 7 to 10 females were feeding on a single inflorescence. Interestingly, virgin females that had not yet sought blood predominated among the flower visitors, while gravid females were encountered much less frequently. A similar picture emerged in Sweden. On tansy flowers, 86% of all mosquitoes collected belong to the species Culex pipiens and its close relative Culex torrentium. More than half of them, 52%, were already fertilized females. A fructose test showed that 81% of the insects had indeed just fed on nectar. Thus, the common house mosquito, without knowing it, becomes an important pollinator of tansy, contributing to the reproduction of this plant. In the hot Jordan Valley, the molestus form, the so-called basement mosquito, was studied. Caught in the fields and raised in the laboratory, these insects showed clear preferences among 6 plant species, giving priority to the shrub Ochrudinus bacatus from the Residaceae family. For a long time, a simple division existed in science. The pipiens form was considered ornithophilic, preferring birds, and the molestus form anthropophilic, loving humans. Indeed, the huge number of bites in cities and villages confirms that molestus does not mind feasting on human blood. However, laboratory experiments introduced important corrections. When researchers offer mosquitoes of the molestus form a choice, they readily attacked not only humans but also birds, mice, and even guinea pigs. The anthropophilia of this form, although pronounced, should not be absolutized. In the absence of humans, these mosquitoes easily switch to other warm-blooded animals, demonstrating a gastronomic flexibility that helps them survive in a wide variety of conditions, from basements to natural biotopes. The common house mosquito is not just an annoying insect, but a genuine parasite capable of serving as a vector for a whole host of dangerous diseases. It's important to remember, only females drink blood, and it is they who pose a threat to humans and animals. The male, feeding on nectar, is completely harmless. The bite mechanism: anesthesia undercover. Why does a mosquito bite often go unnoticed at first? The female injects special saliva under the skin, containing substances that numb the puncture site and prevent blood clotting. The victim does not feel the bite, allowing the mosquito to drink its fill peacefully. However, it is this very saliva that subsequently causes itching, redness, and in sensitive individuals, eczema, papules, or hives. But the main danger lies elsewhere. Pathogens can enter the bloodstream along with the saliva. Diseases transmitted by the common house mosquito. This mosquito species plays a significant role in the spread of several infections. Meningitis, more precisely, some viral meningitides, transmitted with the participation of birds, which serve as a natural reservoir of the virus. Japanese encephalitis, a severe viral disease affecting the brain. West Nile fever, another viral infection transmitted by mosquitoes, which can cause fever and neurological disorders. Filariasis, the thread-like killers. In North Africa, especially Egypt, the common house mosquito is the main vector of filariasis, diseases caused by thread-like roundworms, filariae. The microscopic larvae of these parasites enter the mosquito's body when it feeds on the blood of an infected human or animal and are then transmitted to the next victim. It has been experimentally proven that the common house mosquito can transmit, for example, Brugia phahangi, a parasite causing elephantiasis in animals, although the percentage of infected mosquitoes is low, about 6.3%. Mosquitoes as intermediate hosts for worms. The mosquito's body can serve not only as a vector but also as an intermediate host for various parasitic worms. For example, the trematode Numenosis variegatus, a helminth affecting the common spadefoot toad, a species of frog, uses the common house mosquito as well as two other mosquito species, Anopheles maculopennis and Culex territans, as a transport vehicle. The frog becomes infected by swallowing an infected mosquito. Thus, the tiny bloodsucker becomes a link in the complex life cycle of the parasite. We hate it. We swat. We poison. We invent traps. We have declared a war that has lasted longer than both world wars combined. But the truth is, the mosquito is winning. Not because it's stronger, but because it's a perfect cog in the planet's machinery. Mosquito larvae feed fish. Adults pollinate plants. Yes, you heard that right. And their swarms are a mobile cafeteria for birds, frogs, and dragonflies. Remove the mosquito, and the ecosystem collapses like a house of cards. Remove the food source, birds disappear, real pests multiply. And then who's the real monster? We're used to thinking that nature is about beauty, but nature is about balance. Sometimes a very biting balance. So next time you hear that annoying squeak over your ear, just remember, maybe it's just a little courier of the ecosystem who really needs your blood to keep feeding the world. Good night. And don't forget the mosquito net.